Hi! I'm making my super secret peanut butter cookie recipe today. I've never given this recipe out because it's my own recipe that I developed over years. But I'm going to make it for you here today.
I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took too long to make it, and I'll never get that recipe again. Oh no.
So the first thing we need to do is turn the oven on to warm it up. And I usually cook most of my cookies at 350 unless otherwise noted. Make sure your butter is room temperature. The easiest way to do that is put it about 1 inch apart, seam side up, and let it thaw for a while. It's not as important with margarine, but with butter, if it's hard, you're not going to mix anything. The rest of the ingredients you'll need to make these peanut butter cookies is vanilla, and I use pure vanilla, but you could use imitation if that's what you have around the house. You'll need an egg. You'll need 2 kinds of sugar, regular white granulated sugar and brown sugar, light or dark, doesn't matter. You'll need some flour, and this is unbleached all-purpose flour. You'll need salt and baking soda. I prefer kosher salt. I think it adds a nice flakiness and a saltiness to the cookies, and it's a little bit less salty than regular salt in the jar. And baking soda. And if you're using the box of baking soda that's been keeping your refrigerator fresh for the last 6 months, you're going to want to take a spoon and dig down in there to make sure that you're not getting the weird smells and flavors from your refrigerator. Last but not least, you'll need peanut butter, and any brand will do. I use creamy. I don't think I've ever used chunky for this recipe, but you could try it out. It's important to cream your butter so that it melds with your cookies. It's a chemical thing. I really don't understand it, but the next thing is the vanilla. Now normally I'd be mixing this with a hand mixer, but I'm not sure where my hand mixer is, so I'm just going to do it by hand, the old-fashioned way. And that's 1 teaspoon of vanilla. The next thing I'm adding is the peanut butter, and to tell you the truth, I really don't measure it, but I've got a system. I just take a regular tablespoon and I do 3 globs, which I assume comes out to about 1/2 cup, and it's the same amount of butter that I have in there, 1 stick, which is 1/2 cup. The next ingredient is sugar, and I use 1/2 cup of each. The next thing we add is 1 egg. Up until this point, you really want to mix your ingredients thoroughly. If you're using a hand mixer, keep it at a low speed, but make sure it's thoroughly mixed, because once we add the flour, you want to mix it as little as possible, because flour produces gluten and will make for hard cookies rather than crispy cookies. The next thing you need to add is 1 cup of flour. And you can use the end of your wooden spoon to level it off. I'm a big fan of the wooden spoon. Next we add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Next, I add 1 teaspoon of salt. Now we'll mix this until it's blended. Next, we need to put the parchment paper on the cookie sheets. You don't need parchment paper, but I think it makes for superior cookies and there's no problems with sticking. Next, I use a teaspoon to measure out the dough and I roll it into balls. Place it on the cookie sheet. You want to put them about 2 inches apart because these cookies are going to spread. The last step for the cookies is to put the crisscross pattern on them, so I do that by dipping a fork in a small glass of tap water. And now they're ready for the oven. I always use 2 cookie sheets, that way there's always one ready to go into the oven. One goes in, one comes out.